ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Pilot Money Guys podcast, where our mission is to help clients build and protect wealth to achieve their dreams and goals. This podcast is brought to you by Leading Edge Financial Planning. Without further ado, here is your host, Robert Eklund.
Well. Look who it is, a tip of the cap to you, and thank you for joining us here on the Pilot Money Guys podcast. I'm your host, Rob, a.k.a. Rubber Mallet, and today we're diving into the world of credit card points. Whether you're a seasoned points collector or just dipping your toes into the rewards game, there's something for everyone on this flight, I believe. We don't have the usual suspects today. We're missing the Godfather, Charlie. We'll catch him next time. But we do have the Professor, Kevin, a.k.a. the Professor Gormley. Welcome, Professor.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here and not have to talk about tax today, Rob. I can't believe I still got the invite, but excited to be here today and excited to hear what Mary has to say.
Yeah, we got you out of the tax hole, so we're pretty excited. I'm a pilot financial advisor. Kevin's a CPA financial advisor, among many other acronyms behind his name there. But more importantly, we have points guru Mary Graves on. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Rob. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Not a guru, but definitely learning every day.
Yes, more of a guru than Kevin and I, for sure. So we're excited to have you on. And as you know, we give, well, you may or may not know, actually, we give all of our guests a call sign. So your call sign is...
It's actually...
what
is it? Well, no, I thought I had to pick one. So what is it?
What are you going to pick? Now I'm curious.
Well, actually, so I'm going to be a grandparent this year. And so I had to pick my grandparent call sign, and it's now my new nickname for everything. It's Greenie, Greeny, because I recently got an electric vehicle and the license plate is Greenie, and Greenie is going to be kind of it. So that's my own personal, but I'd be curious to know what y'all's call sign for me is.
All right, we need a drum roll on this, Kevin, if you can provide that. If you can't, it's something like...
No, I can't do it. Maybe we can put it in post-production. But
yeah, post-production. Charlie, make that happen. We're going to go with Mary the Pointinator Graves. So the Pointinator. I was going to try to say it in like a Arnold Schwarzenegger accent, but it was terrible. So that's what we came up with. I like Greenie though. So
okay. A little bit easier to say.
Yeah. And you don't have to have an accent. I always want a cymbal clash too. I want one of those, cymbal clashes, Kevin, when we say
all right,
Greenie or the Professor. So let's get that.
Yeah. Let's get that going.
Too much to ask. Well, Mary, Greenie, thanks for joining us. Super happy to have you on. As Kevin and I kind of self-professed, we're not huge credit card point gurus by any means. So you definitely know more than we do. So first off, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the credit cards points game.
Okay. Well, I met Kevin through my pharmaceutical career. So I was a pharmaceutical rep for 32 years. And the last 2 years, I was working with a startup pharmaceutical company that allowed me to have basically a non-company credit card. So this was the first time really ever in my life I was able to just spend on credit cards and get sign-up bonuses. So this was starting in 2018. And I think in 2018, I opened about 10 credit cards, which for me was crazy. But I started, I think that, and I referenced this in the podcast notes, but started listening to the Frequent Miler, Greg, the Frequent Miler. He has a podcast and a blog, and there's a lot of other podcasts out there, but I think that he provides the best general introduction to what points and miles are about and kind of an ongoing explanation of the changing environment. But just, was getting points with Delta, American Airlines, AMEX points, and then it just grew from there. Now it's a full-blown hobby.
Full-blown hobby. Yeah, you've been on several different podcasts, I believe, correct?
A couple podcasts and in some blogs, written for Miles to Memories blog for some of the trip reviews I've done. It's kind of weird because within the travel points hacking community, I'm a little more rare because I am retired and I do fully travel. I travel probably 75% of the year. Whereas a lot of people are saving their points for that big 2-week vacation, and that's their big trip for the year. I do get a lot of time traveling, which is great.
So, Mary, do you consider yourself then a semi-professional as opposed to a professional point guru, as we said before? Because I know some people, they take this, it's like a passion for them. And if we say anything wrong on this podcast, we're probably going to be in trouble. So where do you put yourself in the realm of knowledge?
Well, okay. So I approach life as a curious student. I'm a student of life. So anything I get into, anything I want to learn, I learn deeply. So I have learned a lot about points and miles, and I've been able to take both Bob and me, but also friends and family, help them all get on some pretty amazing trips that they otherwise wouldn't have taken. So I take it seriously for the experience of it, but I'm not making money doing it. This is not a career for me at all. I don't get any affiliate links or any of that stuff going on. I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. You're where are you actually? I know you're from Alabama, Mary, but where are you sitting right now, and where are you going?
So yes, so we are actually what we're traveling right now is not so much on miles and points. It's a little bit on miles and points, but we're out west skiing for the winter. So Bob and I come out early December and spend almost 4 months out west. And I'm in Park City right now. I'm about to go to Steamboat and Beaver Creek, but we ski all winter, which is great. Although we did take a vacation from this vacation in January to fly to South America. We went to Chile, Argentina, and Antarctica and did a cruise to Antarctica, but all the other travel was on points and miles, which was great. Because, we couldn't afford the cruise if we had to pay for all the other stuff. So I want people to know that you can retire. You can retire and truly enjoy retirement and live your best life and travel, to your heart's content if you make a few wise moves. You have to save up to start with, but you can also use points and miles to augment your travel without dipping into your savings. And Kevin can attest, we haven't dipped much into our savings. We're spending it quite below the 4% that most retirees are, guided to do.
Yeah, and I like what Mary's saying there about the, having the right plan while you're working. One of the greatest days in my life, other than the birth of my child, the marriage to my wife, was when I left pharmaceuticals. I'm not going to lie, it was a very stressful career. So anyway, shout out to all my friends that are still doing it. One of the disclosures we have to make here, Rob, is that, financial planners talking about credit cards, we could get crucified for talking about credit cards. And, we think debt is a tool. There's some people out there that will never, ever take on debt. We understand that. And there's really some very specific people who probably should not do this kind of credit card hacking, I think is how you said it, Mary. And then there's some people that really might want to understand this. So Mary, first of all, the people that should not do this, financial planning hat is firmly on for us. But who do you think should just not get involved with credit card points?
So I have a sister-in-law who I love dearly, but she's one of these people who believe that when you buy one, get one half off, you're saving money. And so anytime that you are fooled by any of these buy more gimmicks, if you buy 4, then you'll get 20% off. It's like, well, that's not really a deal. So that sort of person, or if you're impulsive, you could do some real damage in this hobby if you're impulsive or disorganized. And if you're already not paying off your credit cards every single month, this is not for you. This is something that you have to have both the discipline and the resources to pay off your credit cards every single month, or you're already behind from the get-go. One other thing that because I think someone that's actually participating in this conference might be guilty of hoarding points. If
That's
you are
me. That's me, the professor.
His first name rhymes with Evan.
Yeah. If you're guilty of hoarding points or just holding on to them because you just don't want to, nothing seems quite good enough to spend them on, and you're saving and you're saving. Rob, I think you and Mark have both alluded to, that there's a real chance of these points losing value, as you hold them. So you don't want to hold on to points for a long time. And if you're a hoarder with your points, this is probably not a good thing. There's no point in you trying to earn a lot more points if all you're going to do is hold on to them. You have to earn them and burn them, otherwise you're losing value.
Well, Mary, I do have to say that I have thrown out some of my clothes from high school. Not all of them, but so yes, I might be guilty of being the hoarder type. But yeah, thanks for that. And so if people are going to use credit cards, and we know a lot of pilots we talk to, they really dig points. They love it. They love the game. I mean, you're talking about real high achievers. If you're going to do it, there might be a best way to do it. So Rob, I'll pass it back over to you to start the questions about the actual strategies.
Well, and I think Mary, was going down a good path there. But when we start talking about credit card rewards points and travel hacking, Mary, what comes to your mind? How do you kind of describe that landscape?
So there are credit cards, and there are airlines and hotel reward programs. And so those are generally seen as separate, but there's become more and more overlap as there are branded credit cards that are branded towards certain hotel chains or certain certain airlines. And when you spend those credit cards, you earn points per dollar spent that are either kept in a transferable state, like a Amex membership reward is a generic transferable point that can be later transferred over to something like Delta for Delta miles. Or they're hotel airline specific, like a Southwest Rewards credit card would earn Southwest Rewards. And a Marriott Bonvoy credit card would earn Marriott points. So that's kind of where you get started. So there's two different types of credit cards that earn these points. There are transferable, and then there are product specific.
And that's, I think, so important, at least for newcomers to this industry or to the credit card points game, is those transfer. And some people are going to be rolling their eyes at this, I'm sure, because they know all about transfers. But for those who don't know, like you were saying, it's so important to be able to transfer those points. And maybe there's a 1-to-1 or maybe 2-to-1. Maybe some arbitrage in there with different airlines. It's pretty nice to take advantage of. But you can use these different credit cards, Amex and Chase cards, to be able to then buy those Marriott cards. And would you say that that's probably a good strategy to start out with? Again, foot stomper here. First and foremost, don't carry any balance on your credit card. Just earn points. The interest charges you'll incur far outweigh the benefits you'll receive, for sure. But that transfer, is that something you'd recommend, is getting those cards that transfer?
There is a definite sequence that a lot of points and milers recommend taking, and that is to get the desired Chase card first. So there are different Chase bank cards. The most premier is called the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Just below it is the Chase Sapphire Preferred, but those two are kind of like the godfathers in the Chase portfolio because of the travel protections they offer and how they're kind of seen as more premium cards. The deal with Chase is that they have a rule that's called 5/24. So they will not approve any personal cards for a person if that person has opened 5 or more cards within the past 24 months. And so if you're first getting into credit cards and you don't have, let's say, a stable of credit cards, a wallet full of them, you might be getting more than 5 cards in your first year. Like I said, back in 2018, I got 10 cards in that year. So, and that all depends on what your spend capacity is and what your ability to cover annual fees. But that is definitely one strategy, to start with a premium Chase card first, because it again is a transferable currency. Chase uses a currency called Ultimate Rewards, and they transfer, can't remember the exact number. I have it in the notes somewhere, but it's more than a dozen transfer partners. And I put a link in the notes as to all the different transfer partners for the different credit cards.
So Mary, if you had like the Chuck E. Cheese credit card, that might not have been a wise decision. You want something that currency can be spread around. That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say that, not much of this gets into our realm per se, Kevin, that what you and I are used to talking about on a daily basis. But one of them is, with credit cards, having the only free lunch in investing is diversification. And in credit cards, having that diversification where you can use the points on maybe Hilton or Marriott or Hyatt. And you already talked about a little bit, Mary, and I'm getting excited because there's so many topics we can go into here. I'd love to get into quite a few of them, but that devaluation, when a certain card, if you have only Marriott and then they devalue their points, which they can do, I think at any point, right? That they decide that now you're left with all these points that aren't worth near as much. But if you have those diversified cards that can maybe, like the Chase you were talking about, some of those Chase ones, you can go into different categories and different hotels and maybe get a little more bang for your buck.
Yeah, that's an example. Hyatt Hotels is a renowned chain, and it's very well thought of in the points and miles community because the Hyatt globalist status, their highest elite status, has a lot of perks for those globalist members. But they just this past week devalued their program by increasing the number of points required for reservations, the categories. They moved a bunch of hotels from category 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, and that effectively devalued the entire program that day. So, if you had Chase points, well, Hyatt is a partner that you could transfer to from Chase, but you could also transfer to Marriott or IHG. So you could look at all three of those different hotels and figure out which one has the best property and the best location for what you want to do. And it just gives you flexibility.
I'm excited because Mary just talked about a very great financial concept called inflation. Thank you, Mary. Devaluation of points is the same thing as inflation. So it takes a lot more dollars to buy something. And so, boy, that's a great example. And if you've ever been devalued with the point game, then you do understand inflation, right, Rob?
Absolutely. And, one of the things you talked about that I'd love to circle back to, Mary, is annual fees or annual charges that I'm not saying that right, but the annual fees you have to pay to get some of these higher end credit cards that give you more bang for your buck. Are those worth it? I know it depends on the card, but just generally speaking.
Yeah, it does. It not only depends on the card, but it depends on the card holder. So one of the premium cards is the Amex Platinum. The annual fee is jumped to $695 a year, which is significant. And that card comes with several credits annually. One of them is a $200 airline credit that I know people that don't use that. I literally every year, January 1st, I invest $200 into my United Travel Bank because I know I will fly United at some point during the year for at least one flight. And that's $200 that if I don't spend, I won't get the reimbursement from Amex. So, the $695 annual fee from Amex Platinum can be offset by a $240 digital credit, which we use for Hulu and Audible. Bob and I both have these cards, so we, underwrite our digital subscriptions. But the airline credit, there's a hotel credit, a $200 hotel credit that we just booked. I just booked mine a couple of weeks ago, but Bob booked his this morning for a hotel that we're staying in a few weeks. And if you don't use these credits, it's not worth it. But again, not all annual fees are this high, and several credit cards will offer no annual fee the first year. They'll waive it the first year, and that's something to consider because then you can possibly downgrade the card to a no annual fee card after the first year.
So it sounds like they could be worth that annual fee. For the long time, I was like, I'm not paying a credit card just to have a credit card. but it sounds like it might be worth it depending on if you're going to go ahead and travel somewhere or use these different cards that give you the perks that maybe make up that annual fee.
Yeah, and also like I have several cards that have no annual fee, and they're totally worth it. The Built card is a new card from Wells Fargo that it's the only card so far that you can get points for renting. So I don't rent anymore, not for a long time, but my daughter is 21. She's in college and she rents. And so we've set up her rent through my Built card. And so every month she pays the $1,500 rent for all three of her roommates. They reimburse her, but we get $1,500 points on our Built card every month. And that's a no annual fee card. It's got great transfer partners. And over the past year, they've been running these, they call them rent day promotions. It's the first of every month. But in the past year, they have given transfer bonuses. Rob, you were talking about transferring 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. They've done 100% transfer bonuses and 150% transfer bonuses. So it means that you are getting many times your, Built points into whatever transfer partner they're, promoting that day. So they have not been transfer partners like Delta or American Airlines. These are usually foreign carriers like Flying Blue, KLM, Flying Blue, Air France, Emirates. I'm trying to think. Hawaiian Airlines is domestic, but not really one of the main ones. And then I'm trying to think what the other one has been. Oh, Aeroplan, Air Canada, Aeroplan. They've done these 100%, 150% transfer bonuses. And you can use all of those programs to actually book domestic flights if you want. And it's usually for a lot less miles within those programs. Like Flying Blue, you can use that program to book Delta flights for far fewer Flying Blue points than you would for Delta points. Same with Air Canada, you can use to book United for far less than what you would spend with United. And then British Airways, Aer Lingus, Iberia, and Qatar all use a program called Avios. And Build hasn't done any Avios transfer bonuses yet. I expect it coming this year. But Avios, you can use those to book American Airlines flights for far less than American Airlines miles. So you can use transferable currency to transfer into a foreign airline to book a domestic carrier for far better value. Arbitrage is what you referred to earlier,
Yes.
Robin. That's what it is.
That's
Bam.
super cool.
Third concept Mary brought up today, financial concept.
Great in the house.
Yeah, I learned from the professor.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you said a lot of really good stuff there, Mary, that I definitely want to circle back to on the airline since we're, obviously airline folks here. But one of the things that you really focused on there that want to dissect a little bit is you were talking about, hey, you're paying rent or you're going to use, you knew for a fact you were going to use United at least once a year. It wasn't like you're saying, hey, I'm going to go get a United ticket now because I've got this credit card. It was the other way around. And I think that's kind of a foot stomper.
Yeah. And some of that you only get through the experience of travel. So you do have to just dip your toe in the water with it. But once you learn how easy some of these things are to use and how applicable they are to your travel style, it gets easier to do.
So Mary, I'm a home gamer. I'm not only a home gamer, but I have been racking up points. I have a lot of them. I like.
Wait, what's a home gamer? What is
home gamer? Is somebody who's not a professional, semi-professional, someone who's
I got you. Okay,
someone who's terrible at it. Really. Is what I am. But
I pictured you playing Fortnite, Kevin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not that kind of game. But as far as this sounds like this is a real organizational thing, and you have to be smart with it. Are there ways for you to stay organized and to, not to be checking all these websites constantly? And I've watched a few YouTube videos. It's overwhelming. So how can home gamers like me still be able to use points?
Yeah, it can be very overwhelming. And sometimes when I am playing this game to its maximum potential, my husband's like, my God, this takes so much time, because I will recheck, I will check it on this website and then check it over here because I don't want to miss an opportunity. So that being said, there are tools that you can use to help you maximize your the points you have, and also to stay organized. And I highlighted 3 in the show notes that I've used. Award Wallet is actually, and these all have a free starting point or free trial time, but it also gives you a chance to upgrade, pay for an upgraded program or upgraded experience if you want that. So it's certainly something that someone could do a free trial and see if they like it or not. But Award Wallet helps keep up with all your points balances. When you open your credit cards, like when you sign up for Award Wallet, you basically list all your credit card accounts, your login information. If you have when you signed up, if you know the bonus, it will help align your credit card with the sign up date, the sign up bonus. It will help keep up with when you are awarded your sign up bonus. I just recently got notified from Award Wallet that I have 14,000 British Avios that are going to expire in May if I don't do something to make those live longer. And the way to do that is to actually, very stupidly, buy something through the British Airways shopping portal. And usually what I'll do is just the VRBO that we use VRBO a lot for our travel. I'll just try to make 1 or 2 of those a year through the British Airways portal to make sure I'm getting my Avio. So I don't think I would have thought about that. Because I have more Avios than that small specific amount, but 14,000 of those will expire if I don't take steps to do that. And so Award Wallet reminded me of that. They recently reminded me that I have a annual fee, a card renewal coming up soon. And being notified of a card renewal, it's coming, but also it gives you a chance to consider how much you've used that card this year, if you want to keep it or if you want to downgrade it. I do recommend, instead of opening and closing credit cards cyclically and routinely, to consider downgrading from a high fee or a higher than you want to continue to pay annual fee to a no annual fee card within the same banking family, because it keeps your credit life for that account. Even though your card is changing, the credit life of that account is continuous. And so your credit score is somewhat dependent on the life or lifespan of each account that you're holding.
So Mary, I taught a few college classes, and trying to get students to think about credit score. I'd see the glazed over look when you think about how to increase your credit score. You're in college, you don't care that much, but with this credit card game, it is important to at least have a good credit score. Is that right?
Absolutely, and not just for your credit cards. I consider that the low end of the game, the real,
Right.
the real. I mean, you're going to buy a house someday, God willing, and you want your lowest percentage rate, to be available to you because you're going to be paying that interest for, 15 to 30 years. So your credit score affects a lot of things. It can affect your employment even. So you definitely want to keep your credit score high. A good credit score is in the 650, 670 range, excellent. That Kevin, I think you said you held it for a couple of days, 850, that would be the high end. But, you certainly want to keep your credit score in the 670 to 850 range. 850 is a little hard to keep when you are actually churning credit cards, because every time you open a new credit card, they will run a hard pull of your credit. And so that's checking with the 2 or 3 credit agencies like Equifax or TransUnion. And they will, when they pull your credit, that will ding your score a little bit. But it's usually only temporary. Within a month or 2, it'll come back up.
Just for the record, it was only 15 minutes that my credit score was 850. It might have been 30 minutes. It was not long, but yeah. So by closing credit cards, that hurts your card score. By using a lot of the credit that you have, that also ruins your credit score. So that's one of the questions we had, Mary, is that, all right, I get all these points, I'm doing really well, and then I get lazy, and then all of a sudden I have credit card balances and I become miserable. How do you avoid, having credit card balances run up?
I mean, for me personally, I participate in some buyers clubs, and so those are where I'm actually purchasing Dell computers or some other, hardware for a buyers club. Excuse me, throughout the year. I think they usually hold these items till close to Christmas when they can sell them at a premium. But basically, it creates organic spend for me, so I get more points. But for me personally, I keep a separate checking account that's specifically for my buyers clubs. And as soon as I make a purchase, I will transfer the money for the payment to my credit card within 24 hours, just so that I keep my books clean, because I just don't want any confusion as to what's real and what's not real. But you do have to be able to, I mean, it's just like it's living on a budget. You can't spend what you don't have. And if you are spending what you don't have, you are in the wrong game. This is not the place to play with, because you'll go to collections if you don't pay these bills, and the interest rates are crazy. 24% interest rates, they're crazy rates. You do not want to pay them.
There's a reason why some of these things are free. They're only free to you if you play the game the correct way. But Mary, I thought what you just said there, as Rob would say, it's a foot stomper, is automated payment of credit cards is critical. Make it automated. Now, if I don't know how much my credit card is going to be next month, how do I make it automated? Do a lot of credit cards just allow you to say whatever the balance is, I want to pay it?
Yeah, so you can do auto pay on any credit card that I've ever seen, and I've worked with all the major banks. Auto pay, and then on that payment you can either pick. It's probably best to just pick the statement balance, because sometimes your total balance is actually higher than the statement balance because you've had a little bit of time since the statement closed. So just pick the statement balance, and that way you're covering your bases every month. And just make sure that the checking or savings account that you're using to cover those auto payments is funded, whether it's your direct deposit for your work paycheck, or, whatever retirement income you have coming in, that checking account is funded. You don't want to have an account connected to your auto pay that is not funded, because then again, you will also end up late with late fees and interest.
Mary, you said something a little bit earlier. I wanted to circle back to the preferred method. You talked about the Chase. After the Chase card, what do the folks talk about next? Or is there a few steps that they recommend?
Yeah. Well, so it kind of depends on what you want to do and how you want to travel. So I personally like the idea of having at least three different banks and their credit cards. So Chase is great because they have a lot of credit cards. Chase has a ton of credit cards, both transferable currencies that transfer into the Ultimate Rewards currency. Some of their credit cards are actually listed as cashback cards, like the Freedom Flex card I have when I downgraded my Chase Sapphire Reserve, when the annual fee went up to $595 a year, because the Freedom Flex was it's free, it's no annual fee, and it can still transfer into Ultimate Rewards, although it says it's a cashback card. Because my husband has the Chase Sapphire Preferred, we have a household account that has a preferred Chase card. So either the Chase Sapphire Reserve or Preferred cards count. Also the Ink Preferred, one of the business cards. Those preferred cards count as preferred, and you can transfer any balance of points, even if they're considered cash points. You can transfer them into that person's Ultimate Rewards account and kind of pool. It's called family pooling. If you're in the same household, you can transfer your points to that person's account, and then we pool them all together and use that account for our Ultimate Rewards transfers into other, like for United or Hyatt.
Fantastic. So 3 different banks. So like a Chase, maybe an Amex, and then a third one, perhaps.
Citi, yeah, I have Citi. I like Citi. The Thank You Premier card is it's no annual fee the first year. It's waived the first year, and then it's $95 annual fee after that. With that, under that $95, excuse me, and this is something I've only used a couple of times, but if you spend $500 on a hotel through the Citi travel portal, they'll give you $100 back. So you can recoup that $100. I don't really consider that. That's not that big of a deal to me, but I like the card because it's 3 times Citi Thank You points at gas, groceries, and restaurants. And those are 3 very broad categories that almost everyone uses. So I have the Citi card linked to my Kroger account, and actually my daughter will do her Kroger order in Birmingham through my Kroger account, use my Citi card, reimburse me through Venmo. So I'd rather get the cash from my daughter and get my points. Yeah, my husband's like, this is crazy, but I'm like, hey, if she's going to use it anyway, let's just go ahead and get some points for it. And she's got a college fund, a job, and a scholarship, so she's set for life. But so she just Venmos me back. But Citi is a great bank, I think, also. But there's also Capital One. She has a Capital One card, so she likes that. Discover has some credit cards. There is U.S. Bank, Bank of America. One of the things about Bank of America credit cards, I had a Bank of America Alaska card. I don't have it anymore. But with Bank of America credit cards, you get free museum access to like 100 and something museums in the U.S. the first Saturday and Sunday of every month. So that was kind of neat to use because a little perk that, that's out there. But yeah, after the Chase Sapphire card, you're good to go in any direction. Amex has a lot of premium cards. Certainly their platinum cards are premium, but they do come with a lot of perks, especially if you do travel a lot.
Yeah, this is so much information. I think I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to this too. So thanks for sharing all of that. One of the things we obviously are going to talk about are 2 topics, and then I'll hand it back over to Kevin, is if you can talk a little bit about the sign-up points that you might get. Make sure, so if you're going to go out and get one of these credit cards, make sure obviously you're paying off the credit card bill every month, but there are some advantages to picking ones that are going to give you some points with certain requirements on a sign-up.
Yeah, and so I included in the show notes a link to TPG's the points guy, to their page of what each point is worth, because it's important to know that not all points have the same value, even though they might all have been earned with $1 each. That doesn't mean that they're worth the same amount once you're on that end. So like as far as hotel points go, Hilton points are traditionally worth less than Hyatt points. So you need to know that, just because you're earning 150,000 Hilton points with a sign-up bonus, it doesn't necessarily, that offer may not be better than a 50,000 point sign-up bonus for Hyatt. You have to know what the point is worth, but also, I think it's important to get the best public offering for a sign-up bonus. And there's a blogger called Greg the Frequent Miler. They have a blog and a podcast and a Facebook group, Frequent Milers Insiders free Facebook group, that on their website, they keep an updated list of all the best public offers. So the problem with credit cards, and I mean, if you start nosing around, you will be inundated with affiliate links for credit cards, because basically anybody sending you a credit card referral link is getting something out of that. And it's fine if everything's equal, but usually for them to get a referral fee or an affiliate fee, it takes out of what you would be getting from your sign-up bonus. So I recommend going to Greg the Frequent Miler, to their sign-up bonus best offerings page, and checking there first when you're thinking about opening a credit card, because that will show you the best public offering. Because we've seen offerings for like an Amex Platinum. There have been offerings for new card sign-up bonuses of 250,000 membership rewards points, which, Kevin, you can imagine what it's like to get that with one sign-up bonus. It's crazy, but you definitely want to get the best sign-up bonus that's out there. And almost every credit card has a sign-up bonus that's these travel and points cards that we're referring to have some sort of sign-up bonus, with the exception of the Bilt card. And I put that in the notes because there's not a public reference sign-up bonus, but we know from experience of many, hundreds, thousands of people getting these cards, that what they do is when you are approved for a Bilt card, when you get the card, they send in a really neat little package. It's almost a little origami box that pops out the card. It's very fun. It's like an Apple product, it's the experience of opening it. But you get 5 days to spend that card at 5 times points, up to 50,000 points. So knowing that, I advise anyone that's seeking a Bilt card to make sure you're saving. If you have a big purchase coming up, try to do that when you're opening your Bilt card, because getting 5 times points is a big multiplier to get your points. But Bilt doesn't have an affiliate link. That's why I put my referral in the show notes, because cardholders can refer, but you can't. No one gets an affiliate link, which is different.
Yeah. So for our pilots that are listening, while they're going to the airport, in the hotel, whatever, this is one of those podcasts. You do want to go to the show notes. You do want to check out what Mary has put in the show notes. You do want to go to these links that don't have affiliates. I did not know about the affiliates until Mary told me that, because most of the time the people on YouTube will say, hey, if you buy this, you use my link, it's not going to cost you anything more. So I just assumed it was the same with coats and other things with credit cards, but it's not that way with credit cards. So that is a real important point, Mary.
Yeah. It will usually yield a smaller sign-up bonus. So if they're getting a 50,000 membership rewards referral fee, that's probably coming out of your sign-up bonus. And usually it's even more than that. Usually the best public offer is more than what a referral and that referral sign-up bonus are together. So it's definitely worth looking for those before you sign up.
And I would probably say be careful. Some of these websites that you think are just, a guy's just out there putting this information up for free. He or she might be getting paid quite a bit of a nice little penny.
And that's true, Rob. A lot of people think of the points guys being Brian Kelly, the points guy, but he sold that organization like 8 or 10 years ago, and it's Red Rock Holdings. It's a huge conglomerate, and they are a big business. And it's not like you're supporting some little blogger out there in the blogosphere. It's a big business. So that's I kind of try to follow more the independent bloggers who are real with what they put out, and share all the information and not just what they want you to see or buy from them.
So Rob, I think we should mention that this podcast is brought to you by Leading Edge Financial Planning, fiduciary
Yes.
financial planners that don't get a commission, because that is really what Mary's talking about. In the credit card game, there's a lot of people getting a commission. So you can't always, I guess you can't really always trust the advice you're getting from someone, because they might be biased. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, and that may be a footstop or two when we're talking about sign-up bonuses here, is make sure you read the fine print. It may be that you get 80,000 or 150,000 points, but you have to spend a certain amount with a certain amount of time. So make sure you've read those details and comply with them too, kind of to the Bilt card that you were talking about.
I agree. And actually, that's a bigger point that I recommend. In my mailbox of my computer, I have files for every credit card that I am thinking about applying for. And most of these applications are online, so I take screenshots. So if it says, if you spend $4,000 in 60 days and blah, 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 I'll take a screenshot, because that stuff is hard to remember when you get the card and it doesn't really tell you exactly when you got approved, or you have 90 days, but is it 90 days for when I applied, when I got the card? So take screenshots and put them, I usually save them to notes and put the note in my mailbox so that I keep all that stuff together. But then when I get the actual credit card with the little folder of benefits and stuff, I file that stuff too, because you never know, especially for something like trying to get the Southwest Companion Pass. To do that, you acquire 135,000 Southwest points in one calendar year, or take 100 flights. But that 135,000 Southwest points is kind of tricky to do. And you usually have to use credit card sign-up bonuses to get that, because I personally am not going to spend $135,000 on a Southwest card. But you usually have to open one or two Southwest cards, keep up with the spend, the bonus, and because you're trying to get that Southwest Companion Pass. So you have to stay very organized, and I highly recommend taking screenshots and then saving all information that comes with the credit card when you get it. And again, going back to those tools like Award Wallet, that will help you keep up with exactly when you open the card, what the terms of the sign-up bonus were, and if and when you meet the sign-up bonus, and it'll all be noted in your Award Wallet. It's almost like a little mini spreadsheet that you can export into your own spreadsheet if you'd like.
Yeah, that's super important too, keeping track of all that stuff. So thanks for giving those different websites and apps that'll help you take care of that stuff. The one thing I'd kind of say on the Southwest Companion card too is, or just talking about companion passes in general, they're not all created equally. So if you are lucky enough to get the Southwest Companion, it is not the same. And as a matter of fact, I think it might be the gold standard of companion passes, whereas others isn't saying, you get a companion when you travel at certain times. It's completely different.
Absolutely. Delta has a companion pass that is literally a specific companion one-time use ticket under specific codes of flights. It's not the basic economy. It's not even the economy. It's more main cabin comfort and up, but and it's domestic only. It's not international. So every companion pass is not created equally. The Southwest is unique in that it can actually be valid for up to 2 full calendar years, depending on when you get the companion pass. Some people will open their cards late in the year of one calendar year, so that their actual sign-up bonus points are posted in January of the following year. So going from 23 to 24, your spend was actually in 23, but your sign-up bonus clicks in 24. And if you connected to the whole 135,000 points in January 24, you would earn that companion pass for one person to travel with you on any Southwest flight for the rest of 24 and all of 25. So it's a very significant savings if you travel on Southwest. Most married couples that I've talked to that use the companion pass save around $3,000 in Southwest fares annually on that path.
I got two more, Rob. Two more questions. The first is that my bucket list, my goal is to fly business class someday overseas. That's my goal, to actually lay down while we fly. I've had a lot of very poor flights in my lifetime, so I want to lay down. But as far as like when you book a flight and try to upgrade points, you mentioned this to me that sometimes it's a year out. Is that right? I mean, how do you buy a ticket and use points maybe to get business class?
So the best ways to get availability are either 330 to 360 days out, so nearly a year out when they first open the space, but then also kind of last minute. I have on several occasions booked a cash flight that's refundable, knowing that I would try to start looking for business class. Like I would buy the ticket in main cabin economy, but knowing that I would be looking for business class with award fares closer to time frame. And so I have a subscription to a company called point.me there are several out there. There's Points. Yeah. There's, there's another new one. I'm blanking out on it, but there are subscription point services that you can search award fares very easily. They'll search them across all capacity of different award flights. So you're not just logging into Delta and then checking United and then checking Flying Blue. It will literally run. It takes a few minutes to run each search, and it's one day at a time, but it'll tell you, you can book this flight for 60,000 Delta miles, or you can book the same flight for 15,000, KLM Flying Blue miles, or you can do this flight on Air Canada, or you can. And so I'll do that usually within, 45 to 30 days out, starting looking, because a lot more availability, especially to partner airlines like these foreign partners, becomes available in the last 30 days versus the stuff you're looking at 11 months out is usually specific to that airline when they first release their inventory.
That's one of those, that's a financial advisor kind of economic issue there. I love what you said, Mary. Like, you're looking far out. You may purchase them with different ways, but then you keep checking. And, if it gets to really close and they haven't sold enough, they might drop the price. And if you have that refundable option or refundable point somehow, then you might be able to get, I don't actually know, I haven't actually done this, but I assume you have. You might be able to get, you bought it 12 months out for 20,000 points, then you might be able to get it for 15,000 and get those other points back or something like that.
Yes, you can do that both with award flights and with cash fares, as long as you're buying a refundable fare. But a lot of award flights, especially almost all the domestic award flights like United, Delta, American Airlines, those are fully cancelable, usually even within an hour of the flight. So some people, if they are worried about the on-time performance of an airline, they might supplement their fare with a backup Southwest ticket or a backup American Airlines ticket, just in case, because they, are worried. We all know, we've all had flights canceled, and we know what that's like. So there are ways to arbitrage that, Rob.
Leading edge financial planning does not recommend you do that.
Yeah,
and sorry to all the pilots and staff that have to deal with that. But yes, that can be done. There's no doubt about it, Rob.
And we're definitely not recommending this either, but it was so fascinating. I have to share it.
Yeah, go ahead.
We start talking about getting those tickets and then being able to refund them. And I've heard, and I have never done this, I'm not going to do it, but some airline guys, you're trying to get access to lounges, which I know we wanted to talk about today. That's potentially how some folks have been able to get access to lounges, is you get a ticket, and then you actually can get into some of the lounges, because without a ticket, for us non-revers out there, you can't get into the lounges and enjoy those experiences without a ticket. So some people I've heard have done that. Again, not advocating it.
Yeah. So the last thing that I have is just Mark the Face Covell wanted to let people know about this devaluing of points, because this is something that's happened at a lot of the airlines. They've been in the news. So he said there's 6 things you can do, the best 6 things you can do to try to stop the devaluation of your own points. Number 1 is diversify. Mary's already talked about that. Having cards that you can transfer maybe to other cards, so you're not locked in that point ecosystem. Second is focus on earning those transferable points. Don't focus on earning things that are going to get locked in. Don't let your points collect dust, aka the professor's way of getting points. I've been saving them all up, and don't do that. Never earn points or miles without an immediate use in mind. I never thought about that, but since points are probably going to devalue sometime in the future, use them now, and then watch out for warning signs. Now, Mary, I don't know what that last one means. Watch out for warning signs. Any idea what the Face might have been talking about?
Well, I don't know specifically, but to me, some of the warning signs are some of these potential airline mergers, and I know people that bought or that opened Spirit Airlines credit cards because of the potential merger with JetBlue. And then, then that didn't happen. And, don't don't count your chickens before they hatch, because the airline industry seems kind of volatile as far as who will be allowed to merge and who won't. But then, of course, you don't want to open a credit card that either has an egregious, annual fee that you can't justify spending. If you're trying to justify just based on the potential use of those points, that I would only justify annual fees based on whatever credits they offer. You can't ever account for what the sign-up bonus points will eventually be in an airline ticket until you actually make that move. So that's one thing that he may have been pointing to, but I don't know exactly what was in his brain.
No, I love it. That's great.
Those are good ones. I like that. Thanks, Face. Thanks. We'll have to get him on. We'll show a picture of his face since he's such a handsome man.
He's on reserve and he got pulled into work, so he couldn't make it today.
One of the circling back to the lounges, if you can talk to the lounge access, the cards, and maybe some of the alliances, the airline alliances. You talked a little bit about the Avios already, but any way to kind of game that so that obviously look at if I'm flying out of Denver, I want a Denver lounge, maybe look at something along those lines.
Yeah, so the lounge access, the best cards overall for lounge access are going to be the Amex Platinum, either personal or business, because that gives you access to all the Amex Centurion lounges. And basically, whenever my husband and I are traveling through an airport, as soon as we're landing on the airstrip still, before we've gotten into the terminal, I'll Google, okay, we're in Austin Airport lounges. Just, because first I want to know, do they have a Centurion lounge? If they don't have a Centurion, what other lounges do I have access based on either the credit cards I have or I earn 2 United Club passes with one of the credit cards that's in my little United wallet. So just to check on that. But there's also access to Capital One lounges with Capital One credit cards. Those are kind of up and coming. So there's only a few. I think there's 4 right now in the US, but they're building out in several airports. Excuse me. Also Chase Sapphire lounges. Those are accessible with the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the preferred cards. Those are building out. And then there are Priority Pass lounges globally. So, and actually they tend to be better outside of the United States, in my opinion. Priority Pass lounges are much nicer internationally than they tend to be in the United States. But you can get Priority Pass lounge access with an Amex Platinum, but you can also get it with certain Marriott cards, some like the Hilton Aspire and Surpass cards. The Surpass card is a $150 Amex card, but it gives you Priority Pass access. So in the United States, the Priority Pass lounges tend to be a little bit more downgraded than what you would see for a Centurion lounge. But in the foreign airports, they are much nicer and very well located globally.
Well, that was my next question is, what's the nicest lounges you've been to? I honestly have never been to a lounge except a USO. That's not, which is very nice, but not the same.
Yeah. Okay, so I would have to say in Qatar, Qatar, the country, however you say it, they their lounge, their business class lounge, it's called like the Sahid Lounge, but it had rooms that you could actually sleep in. Like it had rooms with beds that you could sleep in with showers, and yeah, that was like an 8-hour layover that we had in Qatar, and so to be able to rest was absolutely great, and to shower, great. So if a lounge has a shower, that's a nice lounge.
That's key.
But most fancy lounges have free bars, and that's, some people really like that. You as a pilot probably know that it's not advisable to drink a lot when you're flying because it really does dehydrate you and mess you up, and it can really mess with your sleep. So sleep is a priority for me, but lounges with, and then there's also under the Priority Pass, there's a lot of interesting lounge experiences. I've seen where there's gaming lounges, like literally lounges where you go in and you game for however long you're there for the layover. There's minute suites where it's just kind of like a little bed lounge where you'll go sleep for an hour. There are massage lounges where you get like salon type spa services, but there's different, especially under the Priority Pass. You would just Google Priority Pass and kind of peruse under there. And that's another thing. Like if there's not a Centurion Lounge, whenever we touch down, that'll be the next thing I look at. Is there a Priority Pass? What is it? Where is it? But the airlines have their lounges also. So Delta Sky Club is a lounge that you would have access with certain levels of Delta ticket or credit cards that you already have. Same for American Airlines, their flagship lounges. They have lounges. And then United has, I think they're usually called Polaris lounges. That's the Polaris class, their business class. And those are really nice too. I've been to a Polaris lounge, I think in Houston, that had a sit down restaurant where you ordered off the menu and your food was brought to a table, which is usually in a lounge. You're going through a buffet with a sneeze guard and stuff like that. But yeah.
The home gamer here wants to know, how early can you go to the airport? Like, let's say you're going to have a flight at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Can I go to the airport at 8 a.m. and just enjoy myself at the lounge, or is there rules around that?
I don't know. I think every lounge would have specific rules. It's usually probably within 4 to 6 hours of your flight. For that Qatar lounge that we were in, it was 8 hours before your flight. But a lot of airlines won't let you actually check in and check your bags for the flight. So that's the problem, is that until you can check your bags for the flight, you're carrying your bags. So you don't want to actually carry your suitcases through security. And most of the premium lounges are past security on the, airline terminal side of the buildings. Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it. No, some of the things I've learned today, Mary, is number one, there's a reason why these credit cards are offering points. And there's a reason why a lot of the banks like JP Morgan Chase are some of the biggest companies that we own as equities, stocks. And that's because that you do really, if you're going to play this game, don't play it half cocked. I mean, you really have to know what you're doing here, because you're going to lose your points. You're going to get disorganized. There's a chance that you might spend too much money because of the points. There's lots of danger zones here, Mary. And I think you just really have to be organized like you.
Yeah, and to speak to that, it's something I've never encountered personally, but I didn't realize this is a thing, that if you're late with a credit card payment, they can hold back your points for that month. So I know Amex particularly does this, that if you're late for an Amex payment, you will have to pay extra to get those month's points, as opposed to just paying your bill on time.
We got to be organized, Rob.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Vegas a little bit. They give you the free drinks and the free hotel rooms because the longer you stay, the more chance you're going to lose. And probably the same thing with points at some degree. What else you got, Kevin? Mary, anything?
I was just going to say, keep in mind these banks also make money every time your card is swiped. So it's not just making money off of the annual fees and the interest and late fees and stuff. They make money every time you use your card. That's why they incent you with, points multipliers with certain, certainly I can see that the restaurants and the travel are more lucrative for the credit card companies because they always bonus those at higher multipliers than they do, just groceries. Or like me, I do a lot of thrift spending, but I only get 1 point per dollar. So there it is.
I think that's 7 financial concepts there now, Rob, that Mary's brought up. So yeah. Incentives matter.
Yes. Anything else, Mary, that you want to make sure our viewers, listeners know?
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of run through my list. We already talked about sign up bonus and bonus multipliers for like grocery spend or whatever. You can get credits for things like global entry. Also travel credits we talked to already. You can get fast track to elite status. There's a Hilton Aspire card that gives you diamond status. Same for Marriott. Free bag checking, that can add up if you, especially flying domestically, there seems like there's more and more bag fees. So pay attention to that. Factor it into your cost of your annual fee if you do fly that airline regularly. Travel insurance and lounge access, we spoke to. Free night certificates, those can add up as well. So just those are outside the realm of points, but they do add to your travel experience by giving you free hotel nights. But that was it for me. But do read the show notes. There's a lot of links that you can get more information. Gateway to more info.
Yes.
And Mary, how do people contact you if they want to say hello or thank you for getting the business trip to Europe? How do they contact you?
Yeah, well, so my email is just mary.graves, Graves, Graves like a graveyard, mary.graves@me.com. But I also put in my Instagram handle and my Facebook page on the show notes in case people want to, I will generally friend you unless you look really creepy. So careful, all you pilots out there. I get a lot of weird requests from men with a dog. Usually it's men, not pilots, but it's usually doctors, and they're not real people. But if you want to follow along some of the pictures that we post from some of our travels, we do travel well. We take some fun trips, so it's fun to watch. People enjoy watching our posts.
So the podcast got even more interesting when we found out that guys with dogs are typically not a guy.
They're not always real. They're not real people.
Wow, I did not know that. That's awesome, Rob.
It's good stuff. Thank you so much, Mary Greenie Graves, for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you on. The Pointinator. Say it.
Pointinator.
Oh, there you go. Somebody,
that's good.
We're going to have you back because there's so much good stuff here. I love. We talked to devaluations, annual fees, airline lounges, sign-up bonuses, doctors with dogs, all kinds of good stuff on this one. Here's a couple of quotes for you about credit for you to ponder as you go about your business. Notice I did not say credit cards. I don't use a debit card. The safest thing is a credit card because you're using the bank's money. If someone accesses your information, they're stealing the bank's money, not yours. That's Frank Abagnale from the famous movie Catch Me If You Can, who's I think now worth about $10 million after he got out of prison. This one's from Jim Krause. The handy thing about credit cards is they're a great way to pay off credit cards. We're not recommending that. And can I get a cymbal clash? I just need a cymbal clash once.
Yeah.
On this. And the last one's from Robin S. Sharma. Want more credit for all you do and who you are? Be the one who gives credit to others. And that is it. We've arrived at our final destination here on the Pilot Money Guys and Gal. Thank you, Mary Greenie, for joining us again. Let's be the first to welcome you to the end of Flight 77. Credit card points with Mary, the Pointinator, Greenie Graves. And thank you for joining us. If you have any questions you'd like us to answer on the show, shoot Kevin at leadingedgeplanning.com an email, or me, Robert at leadingedgeplanning.com, or Charlie. He's around too. To sign up for the letter, guess what? Go to leadingedgeplanning.com. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe button so we can reach more people. And remember, as Emerson said, the world makes way for those who know where they are going. And as we say, so plan accordingly. From all of us at Leading Edge, Carpe Vacae.
Carpe Vacae. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for listening to the Pilot Money Guys podcast. It has been our pleasure to share some information with you today. Give us a call to discuss absolutely any investment question you may have. Click on the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit leadingedgeplanning.com to learn more. Take care.
Leading Edge Financial Planning, LLC is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Leading Edge Financial Planning and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. For additional information, please visit our website at www.leadingedgeplanning.com. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, and it should not be relied on as such. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or an offer to sell a security. It does not take into account any investor's particular investment objectives, strategies, tax status, or investment horizon. You should consult your attorney or tax advisor. The views expressed in this commentary are subject to change based on market and other conditions. These documents may contain certain statements that may be deemed forward-looking statements. Please note that any such statements are not guarantees of any future performance, and actual results or developments may differ materially from those projected. Any projections, market outlooks, or estimates are based upon certain assumptions and should not be construed as indicative of actual events that will occur. All information has been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but its accuracy is not guaranteed. There is no representation or warranty as to the current accuracy, reliability, or completeness of, nor liability for, decisions based on such information, and it should not be relied on as such.